Hello, welcome to Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell, Youth Services Director at the B.B. Comer Memorial Library here in Sylacauga. Glad to be here today, and before I get started, I want to thank TV47 and Robert for all they do to help us put this program on. Today I have a guest who I got to know at a workshop yesterday, I believe. I have Brigadier General Robert Holmes, Bob Holmes, from here in Sylacauga. So he has been in the Air Force for 32 years, I believe.
Was in the Air Force for 32.
Well, I'm sorry, yes, was in the Air Force for 32 years.
Yeah.
Well, I will let you just tell our audience about yourself.
Well, I first Sylacauga native,
Yes,
and
good.
thanks for let's get that to the forefront. It's great to be back where I was born and raised, and back with old friends and family. So it's good. I left Sylacauga really pretty quickly after high school to go to college and to graduate school, and went to David Lipscomb University in Nashville. Studied speech and drama, and at the time did not know that I would eventually get to a 32-year career in the military. But I did. There was always a desire to serve in uniform. That goes back to my dad and my uncles and so many who had served in World War II.
Yes.
So that was there. But I never, in leaving Sylacauga, thought that some 40 years or more later, I would come back with a military career of over 3 decades. So the career was very rewarding. My career field or the direction that I was in the Air Force and in joint warfighting was in special operations, and also in joint warfighting. It was a humbling experience. It was an honor to stand with so many of your sons and daughters, your husbands, wives, aunts, uncles, moms, and dads who have worn the uniform. And so God blessed me abundantly with those 3 decades of serving in uniform, because there was a lot to learn. The military defined me as a leader. So if you ask me what I am, I'm a leader. Okay, I'm not going to say I'm a good leader or a bad leader, but that's what my profession, if you will, was defined as was leadership, and so it presented me the opportunity to lead. It also presented me the opportunity to see very great leaders as they led me, trusted me, and then let me lead other folks. Okay,
Right.
and then there's an element of trust there in that the folks that were either in the unit that I was commanding or leading, or the team, trusted me to lead them. And so that's quite a thing. And they, more importantly, the successes were theirs, but the mistakes I own, and they were patient. Both my superiors and the folks in the units, they were patient, let me learn, help me learn, and it really, again, goes back to defining me as a leader. So.
Well, I know you did a great job, and I want to thank you for your service. We definitely
Well, thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Well, there's so many to thank. Like I said, this is a honestly, if you get down to it, this is a servant nation. We as Americans want to serve. I do believe that, even though it's clouded at times, and we're definitely not going into politics today. But I think Americans want to serve. That's part of our DNA as Americans, and as Americans, we want to make a difference. So.
I hope so. I think so. And I like you. It seems a bit clouded at times, but it's a wonderful.
Well, that's you just work through the clouds.
Right.
Okay?
That doesn't mean it's not there.
That's right.
Great. Okay, so you came back. What brought you back to Sylacauga after you served all over the country, all over the? I know you've traveled all over the world.
Yeah, we got to a fair number of places, both in the United States and outside of the United States. Of course, more of that outside of the United States time that I was there deployed on, either training or combat operations. But we were in Tampa. Colleen, my wife, who also grew up here in Sylacauga. We were in Tampa. My last assignment was at MacDill Air Force Base, and we'd stayed there about 10 years after I did retire. Not quite 10 years, but it just being drawn back home. So we were making some long weekend trips up to the area, to the Sylacauga area, primarily around Hollands, where we'd purchased a small property, and we were converting it into a more or less a cabin or a cottage.
Right.
So we were spending long weekends here, and decided that it was time to come back.
Good.
So we found another home, a larger home there in the Hollands area, and living right on the edge of the National Forest. So
Oh, that's a
it just,
beautiful place.
I think home drew me back. So.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. I'm a hometown girl also, so still living in Sylacauga and
Yeah,
loving it.
yeah, okay.
So now you're doing consulting work, right? Is that
Yes,
correct?
again, going back to what my definition as a leader, so
Yes.
then I'm being able to share that with other people, particularly in their own personal development,
Right.
or in organizational development. So really, again, it goes back to the purpose of making a difference. That's what drives me. So the consulting is not necessarily at all to instruct or tell people what to do as a consultant. It's really to be more of a guide, a coach, a mentor, whether it's individually or whether it's with an organization, so that you can improve either yourself or your organization. You can begin to define your organization, define
Right.
yourself, ultimately with a point of becoming better. Which even after 70 years here, I still find that I've got a lot to learn still.
we all do.
So we all do. So it's about making a difference in an endeavor, whether it's individual or an organization. So that's what the consulting is about for me.
Well, I know you said your passion is to make a positive difference
Yes,
in people and in your community.
Yes,
So we thank
yeah.
you for coming back here.
Well,
I know. And you've worked with the Chamber and SAFE and some other
Yes,
organizations.
some community organizations. Right now, I'm doing some work with Sylacauga Alliance for Family Enrichment with Margaret Morton, and I'm sure that many of you folks know Margaret, and looking at her programs. And Margaret sees the value of the things that we're talking about, and some of the things that I'm doing there is conducting some leadership training for not only the SAFE staff,
Right.
but Margaret is now extending this to other community organizations. And then at the Chamber, I've been working with Laura Strickland, the executive director there, working on a mission analysis and strategic plan for the Chamber. We call it Vision 2025.
Okay.
Establish a vision for the Chamber to ignite the future.
Oh,
And I
that's
think that's
wonderful,
great.
yes.
The Chamber, Laura and her board of directors came up with that. So that their vision for the next 5 years is to ignite the future of this great community.
Right, that's wonderful. It's hard to be successful if you don't have a vision and a plan to go with that. I think.
You're absolutely right, because and that's one thing that drives me in this, is because so many people, so many organizations will start out to do something, but they've not really defined their purpose, not defined their why, which then translates to vision.
Right.
It translates to values, and so it's very important to help people understand the visioning process. What do we want this organization to be? What do I want to be when this is over? That becomes the why.
That's great.
And then from there you can get into the what, which is your
Right.
mission.
What to do,
Yeah, what
yeah.
to do, your tasks. Okay, so it's really exciting to work through that.
Good. Well, we're going to pause for a commercial break, and we'll be
Okay.
right back in a minute and talk with Bob.
Home making you sick? Moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. Ox Foundation Solutions can remedy any mold or mildew problem in your home. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Coosa Valley Medical Center, one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama, is also Sylacauga's largest employer. Services from the emergency room to surgery to cancer treatment to post-stroke care. You won't believe what's right in your backyard. It's Coosa Valley Medical Center in Sylacauga. So, if you're sick in Alabama, choose one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama. That is Coosa Valley Medical Center.
Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga is your destination for the highest quality health care. Our knowledgeable pharmacists are always available for questions about your medications or advice on taking over-the-counter products and supplements. Our friendly staff can assist you in choosing from our full lines of compression hose and medical equipment. And don't forget our gift department. We have a great selection of unique gifts for every occasion. Stop by and see us today. Marble City Pharmacy, here for life.
Hello, welcome back to Library Connection. I'm talking with Bob Holmes, and we're talking about Bob and then about what he's doing in our community. And I appreciate you coming back and making a difference in Sylacauga. I know one of the things you're doing is a crisis leadership workshop, which I went to yesterday. Very good. It was wonderful. I know the pandemic has been a crisis for us, but I know this is not your first crisis. When you were in the Air Force, you were involved in what happened after 9/11.
Right. Yeah. In fact, on 9/11 in 2001, I was the group commander for the 720th Special Tactics Group, which was an Air Force Special Operations outfit, outfit of ground special operators. We were, in a sense, frustrated soldiers in a blue uniform because everything that we did, it really, once we got on the ground and deployed, was with our joint Special Operations warfighting partners. And right after 9/11, it was, again, an honor to lead the 720th Group and the squadrons of the group to Afghanistan to participate in Operation Enduring Freedom, which those first few months was designed to find, hunt for bin Laden, to rout the Al-Qaeda terrorist network, and to rout the Taliban. So in dealing with that, there were a lot of moments of learning in dealing with that crisis.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I know you did a wonderful job, and we appreciate that's
the folks did the job. They, again, I go back to the credit belongs to some just great American warriors. So.
That's great. Well, that definitely is a crisis. We all remember where we were when 9/11 happened.
Absolutely.
And things like that.
Yeah.
Now, I think the COVID pandemic is somewhat not in the same light.
Different, a crisis will manifest itself in many different ways. It can be an immediate crisis where you know that you've got a very traumatic or significant event that you've got to deal with, and you're going to take certain actions to then deal with that. Then you get to COVID-19, or what I call an insidious crisis, and it's long-lasting. It's very entangled. It has a lot of entry points and exit points all along the way that we've got to deal with. So in working with both Margaret at SAFE and Laura at the Chamber, we felt a need to do a workshop, a local workshop. It's called the Crisis Leadership Workshop for community leaders, for civic leaders, for organizational leaders, to look at what principles of leadership to use during a crisis. Wow. Okay. Now, you went through it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. There's nothing new there. I mean, these are obvious principles. Okay. Right. But the key is you assemble and model, situationally these principles so that folks can be comfortable and confident in dealing with uncertainty and dealing with fear, all of those things that come along with a crisis. Okay, and COVID-19 definitely presented that to our community, not to the global community or to our national community, as well as the greater Sylacauga area. In that early on and even now, there's still uncertainty. There's still, there's going to be a new avenue of something to deal with for a while. Yeah, and that's not to be in a negative term. It's to say, hey, we need to prepare ourselves, and leaders need to be prepared so that they can lead through crisis. And ultimately, that leading is to give hope. Not to spread fear and doubt. That leadership is to give people hope. That's what a really good leader does in a crisis. Is that it leads to find opportunity and leads to provide hope, so that you then not only recover, but you are resilient.
Right.
So resilient means you go above and beyond and you bounce back. And Silicaga's done that, as we see. You know, it's been through crisis situations before.
Right.
So this is just a different one, and it's just important that we prepare ourselves as leaders to be resilient.
Well, the workshop was wonderful, and it wasn't a one-time thing. You do.
No, in fact, the one you attended was the third in this opportunity or this offering for the workshop, and we're looking at doing for several months. We'll do at least one a week as we can get them scheduled and make them available to people. So.
And I know spacing. There were just a few of us, and there was room to space out. It was about. You can count on about 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah,
like
it
that.
should be about a 4-hour workshop. It's not too intense. So.
Oh no, it was enjoyable. I mean, like you said, and I'll say this because you said there wasn't anything that I probably had never heard before, but probably some things, but it was nice just to pull it all together.
Sure.
And now it's written down, and there's a plan and some resources, which I think is great.
Right. Well, it's just again designed for. An individual who finds themselves in a leadership position to just have a set of notes you can go to go, okay, have I really thought about everything? Have I done what needs to be done for my team, for my community? So again, it's just nothing new. It's just let's don't forget what we've learned over
Bring
time.
it up
So,
again
yeah,
and put it in some kind of order, a plan.
Exactly.
If someone wanted to go through this, how would they get in touch with you?
Either call Silicaga Alliance for Family Enrichment, call the SAFE office, or call the chamber.
Okay.
They'll put you in touch with me, and we'll see where there's an opening and
Great.
put people in.
Is there a charge? or
No,
cost?
not right now. Now, that's basically for our community organizations, civic organizations. If this were to be offered as some sort of to a commercial or business endeavor as a training program, then I think we'd probably look at some sort of very nominal charge for it. But
Well, that makes perfect sense. All right. What about the Greater Silicaga Resiliency Network?
Okay.
We talked a little bit about being resilient.
Being resilient. I told you that being defined as a leader, either again good or bad. Once the pandemic was about us and around us, for me, I felt the need that something had to bring people together to talk. So we began. I called Laura. I called Margaret at SAFE, and then I began to call the Coosa Valley Medical Center. I called some civic organizations, called the school systems, some public officials, in city and county government, and I just said, "Hey, I'm not sure where this is going, but we got something that, as a community, we need to deal with." And so we started a daily call every morning at 7:30 on Zoom, video teleconference, and it was come as you are, baseball caps, cup of coffee, sweatshirts, whatever, it didn't matter. We got on the phone or on our video teleconferencing for about 30 to 40 minutes every day. And it was all about discussing needs, to discuss requirements that people may have and where those could be then resolved or met, okay? Right. So it was about bringing people together to talk about their needs, talk about solutions, and then getting things done, okay? So it began to really use networks that were already in place, okay?
Oh, that's
so
right.
The fact that we've named it the Greater Silicaga Resiliency Network, it's not a new network. The network has already been here in the community. Right. Either the Chamber of Commerce, Laura had a network of business people and the Chamber champions, and Margaret Margaret Morton has the network surrounding the Silicaga Alliance at SAFE. So now it was a matter of bringing together executive steerage to lead, and then go out to this network that already existed. So again, you'll hear me say nothing new. It's just a creative use of what we've already got.
That's right.
So to do that, so the network is there to prepare when need be, or then take preparation so that you can respond, recover, and then learn, and this is very important, learn from all that you've been through, learn where we are right now in the middle of a pandemic, and then to do what's necessary to be resilient. And again, it's not about just recovery. It's about going beyond just recovering to even grow and be better, to be resilient. So,
Well, I'm glad there's someone like you to lead our city, our community, to bring us all together like that. That's wonderful.
Well, I appreciate your saying that, but again, it's so many great people. So for me, it's basically bring the team together
Right.
and let the team take it,
That's right.
and just sort of stay out of the way of great people doing great things.
We're going to pause for another commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Home making you sick? Moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. Ox Foundation Solutions can remedy any mold or mildew problem in your home. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Coosa Valley Medical Center, one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama, is also Sylacauga's largest employer. Services from the emergency room to surgery to cancer treatment to post-stroke care. You won't believe what's right in your backyard. It's Coosa Valley Medical Center in Sylacauga. So, if you're sick in Alabama, choose one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama. That is Coosa Valley Medical Center.
Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga is your destination for the highest quality health care. Our knowledgeable pharmacists are always available for questions about your medications or advice on taking over-the-counter products and supplements. Our friendly staff can assist you in choosing from our full lines of compression hose and medical equipment. And don't forget our gift department. We have a great selection of unique gifts for every occasion. Stop by and see us today. Marble City Pharmacy, here for life.
Hello, welcome back to Library Connection. I'm talking with Bob Holmes, who has moved back to Sylacauga after a 32-year career in the Air Force. And we're glad you're back here and very active. I know you said your passion is to make a positive difference in people and community. I think you're definitely doing that. We left talking about the Greater Sylacauga Resiliency Network, which you said is not something really you formed. It's been here all along. We just came together now. It's a group of civic leaders, the chamber, SAFE, churches, hospitals, schools, things like that, to get together to talk about the needs in our community, especially during COVID.
Right. It really takes the form of a grassroots community of interest or action to deal with a problem and then find solutions to the problem, as we said in the last segment. It's not a political governance body. Okay, it is a network that has a core steering or facilitating group to just get things done for the community. So, and we've done quite a few things. You know, as we talk about it, I just brought a list of things along with me. You know, we looked at immediate needs, and if you don't mind, I'll just sort of run down the list real quick. We provided community leaders a recurring communication platform, continued school and seniors feeding programs without disruption in the middle of COVID, continued learning programs both in the school where the school needed support from the community to get certain things done, feeding programs and learning programs at SAFE. And then when the tornadoes came along, you know, now you had a crisis within a crisis, and that so many volunteers were assisting SAFE and assisting the churches and assisting the school with the volunteer feeding and visitation programs. But now we needed a whole core of volunteers, if you will, to go out and help our neighbors in the southern end of the greater Sylacauga area who had just dealt with massive storms, you know, to just be able to get out of their homes. So again, just meeting crisis within crisis, and there's been small business recovery elements out of this, and a positivity campaign. You'll see those
Positively
those
Sylacauga,
That's right, that's right. And there's been growth and opportunity in looking how to do the feeding programs differently for shelf-stable meals. And Coosa Valley Medical has actually stepped forward with a whole new line of business or activity to do a commissary feeding, making these meals available for the feeding programs. And we're also looking at innovation and training down the road for this area. So there are a number of opportunities that are now beginning to manifest themselves as we look at ourselves as a community in responding to challenge and difficulty and then moving ahead to be resilient.
That's great. It's a great way to get together, new ideas, innovative way to do things, which COVID has made us be very innovative, I think, and creative
it
in the way
has.
we
One thing you heard me say in the workshop yesterday, you can sit around and moan about something being done to you. It's not going to make it any better.
Right.
So the thing to do is you now begin to take responsibility to respond, recover, to do, so that you find opportunity and you grow. So if you don't define your future, somebody else will define it for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So for me, it's important that I want to be part of defining my future. This community wants to be part of defining its future. So.
Yeah. Well, it's great. I think we are a great community of people helping each other.
Yeah, I agree.
And sometimes we just need a group or find out what each person does
well. You need
well.
that catalyst. You need that glue to bring people together.
Well, you said plans for the future, maybe more workshops, more training, still meeting needs.
Sure. Yeah, I'm involved very much right now with a number of leadership development programs, and every week or so someone comes along, because in fact I'm doing one with the Sylacauga Fire Department right now on leadership development for the senior leaders, the officers at the fire department, and others are wanting this training, and I've also been able to do it with the Leadership Sylacauga classes that the Chamber hosts every year. So
that's a great program.
Yeah.
I've been through that. It's a wonderful program. Right. Well, sounds like you don't have a lot of spare time, but you're very busy, I know.
Folks ask me when I'm going to retire, and I say I don't think I can exactly retire.
But seems like you enjoy what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much. Well, let's see, is there anything else we wanted to add? What can we as citizens do to help in our community?
I would say
that's a broad question.
It's a broad question, but I think at the end of the day, it's to look around you, and if somebody needs something, then do what you can to serve, to help, and make a difference in that person's life, whether it's your neighbor, whether it's somebody you don't even know, but you see a need. And if you can't fill that need, then try to help somebody who can fill that need. So.
I think that's being aware of what SAFE does, what the hospital does, what we do at the library, what other agencies do, the Chamber, and point people in the direction.
And to plug the library, what a great service to the community that you all do. So.
Thank you. We've tried to adapt our services, as everybody has.
And you have, and you are more than a library, so that's really important.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We've got about half a minute left. I will throw out, I know you said you quoted John Maxwell, who's a great writer and a leader. This is one of the it's a small book, but it's Teamwork 101, what every leader needs to know.
Right. And in fact, Maxwell, there's an affiliation with the training that I do and the John Maxwell team, and he captured so many of the things that are forefront with me about leadership, so it was just a natural fit to look to John Maxwell. He's a global thought leader in leadership and organizational behavior. So.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We're out of time. Thanks. I appreciate all you're doing for our community, and it was nice to meet you the other day.
I appreciate all that you all do. So.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining us on Library Connection.